A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John, chapter 18, the Passion, the arrest of Jesus. After he had said this, Jesus went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley, where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. Judas the traitor also knew the place, since Jesus had often met his disciples there. So Judas brought the cohort to this place, together with officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, all with lanterns and torches and weapons. Knowing everything that was to happen to him, Jesus came forward and said, "Who are you looking for?" They answered him, "Jesus, the Nazarene." He said, "I am he." Now Judas the traitor was standing among them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," they moved back and fell to the ground. Again he asked them, "Who are you looking for?" They said, "Jesus the Nazarene." Jesus replied, "I told you that I am he. If you are looking for me, let these others go." This was to fulfill the words he had spoken. "Not one of those you gave me have I lost." Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it, struck the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword back in its scabbard. Am I not to drink the cup that the Father has given me?" Jesus before Annas. Peter disowns him. The cohort and its tribune and the officers of the Jews seized Jesus and bound him. They took him first to Annas, because Annas was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. It was Caiaphas who had advised the Jews that it was better for one man to die for the people. Simon Peter, with another disciple, followed Jesus. This disciple, who was known to the high priest, went with Jesus into the high priest's palace. But Peter stayed outside at the door. So the other disciple, the one known to the high priest, went out, spoke to the doorkeeper, and brought Peter in. The girl on duty at the door said to Peter, "Are you not also one of that man's disciples?" He answered, "I am not." Now it was cold, and the servants and officers had made a charcoal fire and were standing there warming themselves. Peter stood there too, warming himself with them. The high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered, "I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in the synagogue and in the temple where all the Jews meet together. I have said nothing in secret. Why ask me? Ask those who heard what I taught. They know what I said." At these words, one of the officers standing by gave Jesus a slap in the face, saying, "Is that how you answer the high priest?" Jesus replied, "If I have spoken wrongly, attest the wrong." But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me?" Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas the high priest. Simon Peter stood there, warming himself, and they said to him, "Are you not also one of his disciples?" He denied it, saying, "I am not." One of the high priest's servants, a relation of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, said, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Again, Peter denied it, and at once a cock crowed. Jesus before Pilate. They then led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the praetorium. It was early morning. They did not go into the praetorium themselves to avoid becoming defiled and in order to be able to eat the Passover. So Pilate came out to them and said, "What charge do you bring against this man?" They replied, "If he were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and try him by your own law." The Jews answered, "We are not allowed to put anyone to death." This was to fulfill the words Jesus had spoken, indicating by what kind of death he was going to die. So Pilate went back into the praetorium and called Jesus to him and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus replied, "Do you ask this on your own account, or have others spoken to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own people and the chief priests handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus replied, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my officers would have fought to prevent me being surrendered to the Jews. As it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate said, "So, then you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. I was born for this. I came into the world for this, to bear witness to the truth. And everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And so saying, he went out again to the Jews and said, "I find no case against him. But you have a custom that I release to you one prisoner at the Passover. Would you like me, then, to release to you the King of the Jews?" At this, they shouted back, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Barabbas was a bandit. The word of the Lord.